kids, it's the Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Absolutely beautiful day here, spring day in the Chilterns. Thought it was high time I came out and did a proper review of the CRF250L for you. Had the bike now for 2 months, something like that, done about 800 miles on her. I think I've got to know the bike reasonably well. Most of the riding I've done has been on tarmac, probably 80% tarmac, although when I say tarmac it's of this sort of quality, so the real bumpy stuff. And probably the remainder of the time on proper off-road, green lanes, mud, that sort of thing. So stay tuned, stick around, I'll tell you what I think of the bike. So if you've been following the channel at all, you'll know that I've done quite a few performance modifications to the bike, and I'll talk about those a bit more later. But one of the things that the mods do is make the thing sound great, and the FMF exhaust absolutely makes the thing sound really good, like a dirt bike should, with a proper brap brap. So if you're going to get one of these machines, first thing to do, get yourself an FMF exhaust of some type or other. I've gone for the Q4, but there's the Power Cone and others as well that you can get. The Q4 is supposed to be the quiet one, although see, it still sounds pretty noisy to me, which works for me. So here's a classic example of where I found this little bike to excel. I mean, technically this is a road, incredibly, but you can see it's not the sort of road you'd want to bring your prize sports bike up, or indeed your Street Triple R or anything else. It's extremely slippery and muddy, bumpy as you like. Ideal, this bike, for this sort of thing. And it really lets you explore places that you wouldn't otherwise go. So what I'll do is get up this little slippery bit, find somewhere to stop, and talk you around the bike. Basically follow my way down this little stream. So here she is. This is my 2014 Honda CRF 250L. It's what they call a dual sport bike. It's looks like a motocrosser, but it's kind of a a tame motocrosser. The engine is nothing too frightening. It's the 250cc unit out of the Honda CBR 250, and that's really what makes it different from a proper hairy motocross bike, if you like. If you look at the engine here closely, you can see actually it's got dual overhead cams, which you wouldn't get on a proper motocross bike, but in this case it means that it's got a frictionless or fairly low friction motor, which means you get good service intervals, which are measured in miles, 6,000 miles, rather than in hours, which you might get on a motocross bike. That's what makes this sort of machine good if you want to just be doing the local lanes and so on, rather than actually taking on motocross tracks. So I think she's a pretty good looking machine. I've done a number of modifications, and if you've been following my channel, you'll know a lot of those are performance mods. So I think the first thing I did was put on the FMF tailpipe, the Q4, and also the Mega Bomb header. They're the mod that made the biggest difference to the machine, the one that I recommend anyone do if you buy one of these. Absolutely made the machine a different bike to ride, made it much faster in terms of acceleration, and much more fun ride. Before that it was just a little bit boring, frankly. So that was a great mod. Then went on the electronic jet kit, the EJK fuel controller, which is located under the seat, so you can't see that. And also I did the airbox mods, as you may have seen on another video. Just helps the machine breathe more. Other things I've done is I've done a little tail mod just to tidy that up at the back end there. There was a hideous big monstrosity on there before, that's gone. And then down underneath the bike for lanes like this one, then I've got this bash plate that I've fitted. Again, just keeps most of the crud off the engine, and if you were to hit something solid, hopefully it will protect you. Other obvious things that I've done, added a few decals, just some bits and pieces that I've picked up just to make it look more kind of off-roady, if you like. I quite like it. These ones on the front forks were eBay specials, quite expensive, but just tidy up the fork. And then other things I've done is I've added the little spongy bit on the handlebars, just in case you whack it when you're off-road. The hand guards are relatively new. They keep the backs of my hands nice and warm, and also make sure that any branches or anything like that get knocked out of the way when I'm off-road. And another recent addition here, I don't know if you can see, these are heated grips. I ride this bike all year round, and although it's a lovely day today, it has been cold of late, and these heated grips have been absolutely fantastic. I really do recommend those. They're quite cheap. R&G ones, they're only about £50, but really do make a difference to your riding, so really enjoyed having those on the machine. So with regards to the things that I like and dislike about the machine, I mentioned the performance was poor as stock, so you definitely need to do those, at least the exhaust mod, to give her a bit more poke. But other than that, then the machine is great as she comes. She's comfortable. The seat looks hard, but actually is very, very comfortable. The suspension, being long travel and obviously off-roady, makes for a very smooth ride when you're on the road, which I like very much. One of the not so good points about it, as I found out just now as I was riding up this lane in fact, is this front tyre that comes as stock. Although it looks knobbly, which of course it is, it's not the best off-road tyre. You do feel it kind of washing out as you ride along, and that's a little bit worrying, so I may have to replace that at some point. In terms of fuel economy, she's frugal. I get, well, the tank's very small. I suppose that's not one of the good things. I think it holds 7.7 litres. I get about 100 miles out of a tank, and when I fill it up, it costs me about £7 something. So really good value for money in terms of operating costs. The brakes, when I first bought it, were poor. I think that's just because they were new and had to bed in. They've bedded in now, and even though it doesn't have good quality brake lines at the moment, the brakes actually are completely adequate. One of the things I do like about this type of bike is the fact that there are so many plastics, and you can just replace them. So when you drop it, which is inevitable, or come off if you scratch and scuff them, a new set of plastics are relatively cheap, and you can bring the bike back to looking pretty much as new again for about £100 or so. So that's great for a few years down the line when she's got a little bit scuffed up. For nighttime use, the headlight is pretty good actually for a single light. It's nothing special, but it works okay. Obviously it's road legal, which is one of the plus points of this particular machine. So we've got indicators, we've got number plate obviously, mirrors, etc. So it's an absolute joy to ride on the road, no problems at all, no difficulties. And also it's very, very light. It's like riding a bicycle, so that's one of the things I really like about her. So in traffic as a commuter would be an absolutely brilliant bike. It's nice and thin, so you can filter away, get through traffic, and she's very lightweight to ride. So really a friendly machine to ride. Nothing difficult about it whatsoever. Okay, so that's enough about the bike. Looking around her, let's get on and have a ride, and tell you one or two other things that I think about the machine if you're thinking about buying one of these, possibly to add to your stable of bikes. So to summarise then, the Honda CRF250L, what should you like to live with after 2 months of riding? Well, I have to say it's been a pure joy. As you know, I've got several motorcycles, and I've found that this is one that I've been riding more than the others put together. Might just be because it's the time of year, and I'm not so worried about this one getting dirty and so on. But it's just been such great fun, even in the bad weather. Really enjoyed it. The bike's frugal, it's nippy, it sounds great, it looks good, it goes over anything. The brakes are okay, she's cheap to run, cheap to insure, cheap to buy. Really, what's there not to like about it? So I've been really pleasantly surprised with the little CRF250L. If you're in the market at all thinking about getting something of this type, then definitely get yourself a ride on one. Don't be put off by the stock, the way she feels as stock with the engine, because there is no power or performance. I can't remember what the BHP figure is, but it's only something like, I don't know what's going on here. It's only something like 27 BHP. You can liberate another 10% by sticking on the mods that I've done at least. And I have to say, it doesn't in the least bit feel like a bike that hasn't got enough power. I never get off of it thinking that bike really needs more power, so don't be put off by that. You can easily do the mods. The downside, of course, is by the time you've done the exhaust and the airbox, and maybe put on the 13-tooth sprocket at the front, thank you, then of course you've added a significant amount of cost to the bike, well over £1,000, which is 25% of the bike again, so you've got to factor that into your purchase considerations. Although of course you could probably pick these up second hand now as well. A bit slower please, madam, thank you. Thank you, sir. Blimey, it's like Piccadilly Circus down here. Thank you. Thank you. What's caused all that? Okay, so there we have it, folks. That's my ownership review of the CRF250L. Great little bike. Hope it's been of interest to you, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Mist and Flyer. Cheerio.